Good afternoon, YouTube. Alright, I'm here to review The New Guy. This is one of my favorite comedy movies. Alright. Ooh, yeah. I would request sweet lemon tea, peace tea. I would highly recommend you to try this. Ooh, that's really good. Okay, so it stars DJ Qualls. So it starts off with a little kid version of DJ dancing, and he does the splits, and I think he hit his nuts, and then his mom walked out on him and his dad, and then it's the first day of senior year later. His friends were hoping that they would. One was hoping that they'd drown over the summer, and then DJ's all excited because he wants to be the Mark. He has an electric guitar. So what he wants to do is he wants to be one of the cool kids, but unfortunately he's one of the stupid kids, actually. Or, no, he's not stupid. He's a loser. And back here it says a zero will rise. So he's basically uncool. So he gets a football thrown at him. His friend throws a football back that is played by Zoe Deschanel, something like that. She threw the football back and she had a hairy armpit. And then Dizzy went to Tina Osgood, who is the sex symbol of the school. She was known as the hot girl, and then he went over to help her out. Dizzy, the year before, had been strapped into a chair with duct tape and a dress with makeup and fake rubber breasts. So, yeah, so they did all that to him. He asks her out. Didn't become the hero in that part. So this isn't one of the moments. So then later, Eddie Griffin is actually talking to David Hasselhoff on the phone. You find out it's Hasselhoff later. He's just talking. And I would recommend get the director's cut because it's way better. And then he goes to Tina and says, I was thinking about the whole type thing, because he said, you want to drink coffee near me? I would pay. And she said, truthfully, yeah, you're not my... And he went, type. Yeah, so... Didn't go his way at first. This is funny, but it's not funny in the end. It's not funny if you have to witness this. So, the girl touches him and then he gets a boner. I'm not gonna go into discussion, and then they pulled up his underwear and put it on his head. And then what they did was an 80-year-old librarian lady grabbed Dizzy's dick, and then he went, Mrs. Whippen, it's mine. And she said, well, it's mine now. And she went, and he's like, ow. And she said, is this a weapon? You can't bring loaded weapons to school. And he said, lady, you're tearing the skin. Ow, my dick. And she went, I'm showing this to Principal Zaylor. And they went, cut it out. And then you hear his dick in the director's version, in the director's cut, crack. So his dick broke. And what Eddie Griffin in the movie Luther, that was who he played, said, I know what you're thinking. It's not medically possible. Let me ask you this. Are you a doctor? And then the funny thing is, he had to be put on Tourette. I think he had Tourette syndrome. And he said, and then he was by a fish tank, and then they said, Diz, and he said, they gave me these pills for my Tourette, but they're not working. And they went, come on, Diz, it's not that bad. And he went, not that bad? At least his blips. We were invisible. If you break your dick in front of the whole school, people remember that. And his other friend, Perry Shen, I think his name was, and I've seen this movie so many times, but I forgot his name. One time I watched it 2 times. Yeah, I watched it like 2 times within 1 week. Watched it up to like 10 times or more, like 14 times. His name was Glenn, played by Perry Shen. And he said, he's right, his life is ruined. I mean, I'm an idiot. And he said, I'll never be able to go back to school again. He fed one of his pills to the fish and the fish spit it out. And he said, I need more of these pills. So then he took the rest, or he took more. And then Reverend was played by Gene Simmons off of Kiss, you know. Ah. There's something right here that hurts the tongue guy. Yeah, that's a TV I got. I'll put that in another video. He's the one with the tongue. So what happened was Dizzy said, you want to talk about pain? And they're like, that boy's got the spirit. And then the undirector's cut version, Gene Simmons said, he's an idiot. Yeah, so Dizzy on the front cover gets taken away because he said, let me hear shot, amen. If you've ever had duct tape ripped off your naked buttocks and everything. Son, he walked off and he got put in jail for a day, or juvie. And then he and Luther, Eddie Griffin, were talking, and they were talking about fake rubber breasts and everything. And then this is what Luther did. The crazy eyes thing. Like, and then he told Dizzy that the fake rubber breasts, that happened to him too. And then he said he could break all the rules, act all crazy. And then he said, in this version, he said, I grabbed the broken mop handle and shoved it up the warden's ass. But in the movie, he said, I grabbed the broken mop handle and snapped it across the warden's butt. Then in the director's cut version and in the regular version, he wrote all the answers on his arms, and he said, just what are you thinking, Mr. Harrison? You're right, what am I thinking? Because he had all the answers on his arms, and he said, hey everyone, the answer to number 20 hey everyone, the answer to number 23 is Guam. And they're like, thanks, Brookwood. And he said, Mr. Nuberall, he has 20. Plenty more of this came from it. Final time, he ripped off his hair and went like that, or wig. And then went. Then his dad came and said, Dizzy? Bribering? Cheating? Bribering? Those are grounds for expulsion. And Miss Pierce was like, or an obvious cry for help. But then the funny part is he takes the camera, and they said, what's Brookwood doing? And then he films the principal, and they're like, yo, that's Principal Zaylen. Principal's like, ah! He's filming him taking a dump. He's like, ah! And he's like, ah! And then he's like, shake it, say mercy. Oh, you're almost ahead of the class. And he lets it all out, and you hear it. And then they're all like, oh, and then Dizzy's like, and cut. And then the principal goes, and the whole class started to laugh their ass off. Then Dizzy had to get his medication doubled and his therapy increased. He was so pissed, and then he grabbed the mop and broke it, and then he said, and Principal Zayler said, that was what Miss Pierce told him, that he had to maybe stay there another year. He says, looks like I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. Or am I? And then grab a mop, and the guy's like, hey! And then he broke it. Zooey Dusho was there, and then he went, and he broke it, and he said, then Principal Zayler said, halt! Did you just break that mop, Harrison? He said, yes. You destroyed school property. you're expelled. And he went, yes! And then he did a high five with, like, Zoe, but it ended with, Luther, the guy right next to him, Eddie Griffin. And then he got taught to fight. So he got taught to fight dirty like tiger claws. You kick someone in the balls and then knee him in the face to fight dirty. And then he was getting taught to dance. He was getting taught everything. He was getting taught to dance. Then he got his frame changed into that way, where he was wearing a wig at the beginning of the movie, and then he was everything he got taught how to do the crazy eyes, because first it sounded like a scratch record is what they said. Then they threw everything at him. And then he got brought back to the school, and then they said, what the hell is that? And then, because the three kids were there, his friends, Nora, Kirk, and Glenn. And then, the school got no respect. There were people like, there was like a mascot, and he said, hey, mascot, you dropped your bagpipe. And he went, oh, thank you. Suck on that, pal. And there were people knocking, what was that? Knocking notebooks out of other people's hands. And teachers stealing stuff and running away. And then he said, hey, tuba midget, pouring stuff into the Ed Lickett tuba. Pouring stuff into his tuba with a can and said, have a nice day. Then Kirk's like, this place is a zoo. And they're like, it's a new high school that Dizzy's going to go to since he got expelled. And they said, he didn't say 12:30. Yeah, so where is he? Brought Dizzy out. Don't know it's him. And then they took off everything, and then he goes up. And they're like, back in the truck. And then he gets up, and they're like, whoa, is that? And then Glenn's like, is that Diz? And Kirk's like, so it was like half Brad Pitt, half Anne Heche. So what happened was he went to the top, and they said he was taught to whoop the baddest guy's ass. So he went up to what's his name, Connor, and he got punched because he said, hey, mind if I sit down? Wrong level, bitch. Bitch, say what? And they said, well, looks like we have a really serious problem. Well, yeah, well, if it's you, there's no problem. And then Connor punched him, and then Dizzy went flying. Well, in this one, his name's Gil now, so I'll call him Gil for right now, even though his real name's Dizzy. And then they said, they went back up and he went, dude, what's with you? Who is the biatch now? And then kicked him in the balls, kneed him in the face like he was taught. And then he brought him back into the school because no one saw it. And then all the class, he went, who's the biatch now? And then he fell, and then he went, you gotta be kidding me! Because every class door broke or closed. Then he pulled down the fire alarm, and then he headbutted him and said, who's the bitch now? And he knocked Connor over, and then everyone looked, and then he said, then the principal came and said, look out, take your hat off in school. And he went, let's all have a applause for Connor McGuire. Okay, come on, don't be shy. And he went, stop it, all of you. And he went, hello, son. You know I told you last time, you start something, you're what? You're gone. And he went, well, my friend, looks like it's the last call, And he went, last call, and then Dizzy went, Gil, the Gil Dizzy said, he didn't start it. I did. Who the hell are you? I'm the new guy. They went. And went, wah, wah, wah. They went, wah, wah, wah. Something like that. Then the crazy ass thing. That he actually got to work that time. And then he was on top of the tower, and then 3 girls went up to go visit him. One was Eliza Dushku, who I knew from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. You know, I had 2 copies of this. I rebought this because I lost my original copy for it, and it's over there somewhere. So I rebought it for myself. I really love this movie. So then 2 girls went up to go visit him. One's like later than Eliza Dushku was about to go up, but Connor said, "You're not going over there." And she went, "Well, I wasn't. Now I am." Later, and then one of Connor's friends went, "Hey man, she just dissed you." And he went, "Dude, shut up." And then, I mean, Connor's just a dick to his friends. And then they went, "Hey, new guy, got a name?" "Harris, Gil Harris." And they went, "I'm Courtney. That's Carmen. That's Danielle. So how do you like her little slice of paradise?" "Well, I gotta tell you, it's nice to be somewhere without bars." "You were in jail? Did they give you a full cavity search?" Excuse my friends, they get tired when they talk, or they get nervous when they talk to new people or something like that. And he said, "My fault, I talk too much." And then they said, "There's a party at my house if you want to come." Courtney said that. And he said, "I'll make plans." He crumbled it up, burned it. "Not my style." And then he walked off. And then he went home and he was playing a song and he said, "We love you, Rocky Creek." And he said it finally turned out. Everything. His life had finally taken a turn for the better. Here's where it comes. So he goes to the party. He takes Kirk's bike and drives it off. Tony Hawk is actually in that movie, and they said, Courtney got a guy called Lonnie went, "Courtney got Tony Hawk to come to her party? There's nothing cooler than that." And then Dizzy goes on the jump and goes, and Tony Hawk's like, "That dude's crazy." And he went like that and went, "I made it." And then he crashed the motorcycle into the bush. And then he went with Courtney, and Courtney was going to do stuff with him. Because she's actually kind of slutty, like in one picture. Stuck her tongue out in the picture. She's kind of a slut. Connor dated her at one point for about 4 months. And then he blew off, what's her name? He blew off Courtney. So then he came back for something else. Alright, he just wanted to diss her or ditch her. So then what else happened was he went home and he was actually happy, and his Miss Pierce and his dad talked. They moved in together. His dad sold the house and moved into a mobile home, you know. So then Dizzy was asked to go to a football game, so he did. He was asked by, what's her name? Danielle, played by Eliza Dushku. And then she said, "You yam what?" And he said, "It means I owe you one. My grandmother's Albanian. It means I owe you one." So then he went over there. And then he came to the football game. And Pete said, or Connor said, What do you want from him?" "Oh, just something I'm not getting any elsewhere." And then he went to the game, and then he got on a horse and he said, "For presenting yourself at this football game, I give thee thanks. Students of East Highland, I am Gil Harris." And then they said, "Gil Harris killed a man in Rhode Island." "Yes, I know. I heard. I am Gil Harris." And I said, and he's telling everyone, he said, and then he does the famous Braveheart stuff, like, one wouldn't you like to die one day with a chance? Dying in your beds for many days. Wouldn't you like to give something with just a chance, with just one chance to tell your enemies that they may take this game, but they'll never take our freedom? And everyone cheered, and then Dizzy, everyone went crazy. Everyone was like, yeah! And then his team won. 5 years they never won a game, but the coach went, that's my GD horse! That's my GD horse! And they're like, he's out of his mind! And then he finally got off the horse, and then he went. Then Danielle went over to Gil, and she went, you're insane, but thank you. And he went, Elu tempt or something. How'd you learn how to say you're welcome? Only one other guy only out of the one person only he went to an Albanian chat room and found out how to say you're welcome, and then they were Daniel to Gil, Eliza Dushku, and I think the reason they said it was a low budget movie but made some money, and they said the reason it made some money was because Eliza Dushku, Danielle that is, was wearing like swimsuit clothes right in front of Dizzy and showing him off and dressing up in it. You know what's actually funny is before the game, he said Danielle finally dragged you out to one of the games, and he's like, I'm not at the game, I'm with you guys. Plus, I can see her run around and dance. And he said, yeah, right. Right on Cowboy. He said, will you shut up with a can? And Pete went, man, that's not funny. And then he banged his head. So then, yeah, Pete banged his head. But when I saw that, I'm like, that's funny. But I felt kind of bad for him. Banging his head on Mel Pool. Alright. So moving on. She's doing the swimsuits to Gil, and he said to Dizzy, actually. Dizzy Gil. And that's why they said the movie made a lot of money. But then Eddie Griffin's like, sorry about that. I've been in prison a long time. And then it moves on with what's that guy's name? Gil and Danielle again, and then Danielle's old friend came. Her name was Emily, and then they were talking, and they used to be friends until she started dating Connor. Hold on a minute. And then Zoe Dushell, or Zoe Dushell in the movie, played a girl. Vanilla Ice was in this movie. I mean, I've seen him in this movie, and I've seen him in this movie, and to give him credit, he was much better in this movie. Got more screen time, and he actually has the guts to act in that. And he actually had the guts to act in this movie, which I'm going to try to re-review this. Alright, so back to this movie. He said, you've been listening to the same song for 5 hours. You're squatting, or like 6 hours. And he said, listen, bro, I've had a bad day, so squat on this, puke face. And he said, that's it, you're tossed. And he said, you're not a bouncer anymore, you've moved up. Who could toss her better than me? Man, I'm sick of this. And then Dizzy was being a jerk and said he didn't know Nora, Kirk, or Glenn. Nora is played by Zoe Dushell. Gerard Mixon is Kirk. And Perry Shen is Glenn. All three of them were his only friends over at Rocky Creek High. The one where he's bullied and tied up with the rubber breasts and everything. So then he says he doesn't know them. Danielle asked, Gil, do you know these people? And he went, no. Which was an asshole move. And then, guess who comes in? Barkley, the guy who bullied him, threw a football at him, and they said, Kirk said, "If anyone's lost a pair of balls, we have found them. Wait, there's a name here? Dizzy Harrison?" And then Barkley starts looking around and they said, "Balls and scrotum? That's balls and scrotum at counter 5." And then Vanilla Ice went, "That's my microphone." And he knocked him over and smacked him. Wow. Over just using mic. Don't piss off Vanilla Ice then, I guess. And then he goes back to school, and then the Cornell, the coach, said, "You know what the penalty is for stealing another man's horse?" And he said, "Death." And he said, "This isn't Iraq, son." But he said, "But I can tell you, probably be a hefty fine." And then he said, "And you want to know something?" They said someone urinated all over the lawn, and it was the coach. And then he said, "You want to know something else? It was all worth it." And they hugged him, and they said, "That was our first victory in 5 years, and it's all thanks to you. I love you more than my good-for-nothing son." And he said, they were talking, and he mentioned the funk music for the homecoming dance, and he went back to those 3 of his friends. And he said he didn't know to apologize. And then they were playing a Let It Whip song. There were more football games. And he's like, "That's another win for the Highlander." And then he's like, "Can you just smell the playoffs later?" And then Courtney starts dating Kirk, I think, for a little part. And then he named himself Apache. And then everything's going on, like the homecoming dance, or the football game, I mean. And they're like, "Can you just smell the playoffs?" And some of the cheerleaders are showing off their bottoms. And one guy's like, "Dude," and he gets tackled. What an idiot. Because he gets distracted by football cheerleaders. And he's like, "Dude!" BAM! Got tackled. Well, and he said, "Touchdown!" And he said, "Unbelievable! We're going to the state championship! The Highlanders are on fire!" Then Dizzy went, because he said, "When you go off to college, this car and this house, and I go with you. Dad, I repeat, do not do that." And he got flame all over his eye. It was fake though. But then they went back. He went into the place where Danielle works the next day, and to find out what was going on. And she said, "Ready for state finals tomorrow?" And he went, "All I do is ride a horse." And she said, "Well, I'm worried. Those drillers can be brutal." And he said, "The drillers?" And she said, "Yeah, Rocky Creek High. You know where it is?" And he said, "I do. Look, Danielle, I can't go to that game. I hate that school." And she said, "Wait a minute. How can you not come?" And he said, "It's complicated." And she said, "Look, I hate that school too, but if you don't show, no one will. Please don't bail now." And then he went to go play. And he went, "Let's welcome our undefeated champions, state champions, or our undefeated. Let's welcome our undefeated champions, state champions, the Rocky Creek Drillers, and their opponents from East Highland High, the Highlanders." And Barkley said, "I can't believe those kilt-wearing wussies aren't going to show up." But then Dizzy went, "Holy!" He said, "What's going on?" That's what Barkley said. And then he threw the sword. And then everyone ran to make an appearance. And then he was on the horse. And then it was tied 24-24. And he said, and Barkley went, This is what people said. The O'Connell brothers, Charlie and something O'Connell, went, "Let's go Highland!" Hold on. Their band was playing, and then he went, "Let's go Highland! Let's go Highland!" And then some of the girl cheerleaders are like, "RC!" And I'm like, "Sucks!" about Rocky Creek. And they're like, "RC!" And I'm like, "Sucks!" And then they're like, "RC!" And I'm like, "Sucks!" in the middle of that to drown out because I don't like Rocky Creek. because there's a bunch of idiots there. It was Charlie O'Connell and Jerry O'Connell, which I know Jerry from Kangaroo Jack, which I don't have anymore. I gave it away to a few friends of mine. And then Barkley said, "Their team isn't killing us. The fans are. Get your head in the game and let's concentrate." And he wants to get the ball. And he said, "No way, asshole. Not Duncan. My team, my championship, my ball." And he said, "Duncan gets the ball." I said, "No way, asshole. Not Duncan. My team, my championship, my ball." Something like that. And he said, and then he went, and then he said, "Just do your job and I'll do the rest." And then everyone was starting to cheer, and then Dizzy's horse was going, "Ah!" You know, the whinnying sound. But the funny part was, this is what Tony Hawk did. He went, because they got popcorn on him, the O'Connell brothers were, and he said, "Go Rocky Creek! Go Rocky Creek! Go Rocky Creek! Yeah! Go Rocky Creek! Go Rocky Creek! Woo! Rocky!" And then they broke his skateboard over his head, and he went, "Get out of here, Rocky Creek!" And then, and then they were pitching the ball, and the horse was like, "Ah!" They pitched it to Barkley, but Barkley got distracted, and then it hit his face, and they went, "Fumble!" And the cheerleaders went, "Oh!" And then they grabbed the Rocky Creek, the Highland grabbed the ball and ran. One guy got blocked, and then they jumped and touchdown, and then all the football players ran with their helmets, and they were all cheering, and then the what was his name? The announcer was like, "Highland wins!" And they went, "Ah!" And then they went, all the cheerleaders went like that, and he went, "Go Highland! Go Highland!" Dizzy did, and then he got the ball from the football coach. This was my favorite part, when he went, "Go Highland!" with the football, because he went, "This is for you, son." And he went, "Thank you." And then he went, "Go Highland!" And then everyone was cheering, and then Barkley took off his football helmet and went, "No!" And he recognized Dizzy and went, "Is that?" And then in the director's cut version, he goes on the football field and needs to talk to Danielle and says, "I need to tell you something. I'm really dizzy." And she went, "So am I." And the sprinklers were spraying both of them. And then he's like, "Hey." And she went, "Hey." And he went, "I need to tell you something." And then they made out. And he said, "I'm really dizzy." And she went, "So am I." And then they started making out. And then it went back to... Then it took him back to at his dad's house, where he was so great at... where he felt so great at getting the girl. And in this version, Dizzy said... DJ Qualls, who plays Dizzy, said he likes the scene, and he said he was disappointed that it was taken out. Yeah, it's a really good scene. And then everyone's celebrating. No one's on the bottom or top of the tower. And then Connor comes. No, not Connor. Barkley. Barkley comes and says, he says, "Hey, Dizzy dipshit, where are you? Yo, dipshit." And he went, "How you doing, buddy? How's it going, Barkley?" "Who is this guy, Gil?" "Just an old friend." And then went, "Well, I ain't a friend of Gil's, a friend of mine. I'm Lonnie. I'm Travis. I'm Lonnie. I'm Pete. Ed Lickett, too, but how you doing, man?" "Better now." "What's wrong with you, man?" "So I tossed a freak." And it sounded like he said toaster freak or something, but he said, "So I tossed a freak." And he said, "Excuse me, but we discourage name calling around here. What do you want?" "You stole my state championship, asshole!" And he said, "Again, let me remind you, if you must talk like that, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "Oh, I'm leaving as soon as I tell you the truth about your leader." "Oh, we know he was in prison. We forgive him." "Prison? Are you shitting me?" And run. "All right, buddy boy, that doesn't fly around." And he punched him, and he went, okay, you guys, back it up. This is my fight. And he went, oh, baby, come on, make my day. And then they all tackled him. Everyone did. And then they took off his underwear and put it on his head like he did to Dizzy. And then Connor came over and said, I want to know what you know. And then there was the band. They were playing, and Rocky Creek was out there. Not a good sign. Rocky Creek isn't the real name, though. I heard about it because I met a guy who actually went to that high school personally. But then they were all playing, and then everyone was dancing around and enjoying it. But first, the principal of East Highland went, well, I didn't think I'd live to see us win the state championship, and everyone's cheering except the Rocky Creek kids are out there and they're like this. One girl rolled her eyes, and East Highland's like, yeah! And then they're all clapping and go, woo! And the Rocky Creek kids are just like, and then the principal's like, quiet! Ladies and gentlemen, Suburban Funk! And everyone started playing like Dizzy was singing, hey, do it now! And they're like, Zooey Dushell was singing too. Both of them were singing. Good stuff. But then I put in Whatever You Want. They were playing that song, and then they got interrupted by Connor and Barkley. Not good. Then they humiliated Dizzy in front of the entire school, and then they said, yo, East Highland, you know Gil Harris. And everyone East Highland is like, woo! And then they said, hey, Rocky Creek, you remember Diz Harrison? And everyone started to laugh. The Rocky Creek school. Then they told him, well, guess what, folks? Diz and Gil are the same guy. And then he stood up there. He made fools of all of you. If you don't believe me, ask him yourself. Maybe for once he'll tell the truth. And he went, this sucks. What is going on? And they went, and Zooey Dushell went, hey, 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 hey. And he went, it's okay. I can handle this. Look, I can explain. And they all went, boo! Ah! And they threw glass, but then the cop came in, and then so did Eddie Griffin. He did this. And the crazy guys, and they all stopped, and he said, let the brother speak! Luther. It's not just Luther. Spiders. You play my kind of music. And he says, everything you saw on that screen was completely true. Then they all went, oh no, or no. And then here go Connor and Barkley, like that or like that. And they were laughing about it. And he said, they're right, I'm a liar. I didn't know what I was thinking. Actually, I do know what I was thinking. I was trying to become something more than just a blip on the radar screen. And he said, so I made someone up. Someone I thought you'd all like. And all because I cared more about what other people thought of me than about what I thought of me. But I'm willing to think I'm not the only one today who's ever let that happen. And then Eddie Griffin started to have tears come down his eyes, or started to cry, something like that. And then some people cried, and then Eliza walked off, but then Danielle did. But then Connor went, what's this? Broke dick. And then, what's his name? Barkley started saying, broke dick. And then everyone's like, broke dick, broke dick, broke dick, broke dick, broke dick. And he went, Bear, come scoop up your friend. And then he got headbutted. What's his name did? Dizzy. And then everyone cheered. But then the sheriff came in with a gun and said, move it, to Connor and Barkley. And Connor and Barkley knew they were in trouble. And he said, anyone got a stable gun? And he took the rubber breast and then he went, who's the bitch now? Because Ed Lickett took out duct tape, and then Nora wanted to thank Dizzy for what she was doing or what happened, and then she started acting like she was going to do something to Diz, but then she started making out with Glenn, and she said, better than PlayStation 2, and he said, no hair on her on the armpits where there was hair. And he said, now it is. And then they started making out, and he said, yo, I guess it's you and me, man. That's what Kirk said. And they said, and us. And Danielle went, and me. And then Dizzy apologized, and she said, I don't know what to call you. And he said, Broke Dick seems pretty popular. You're the biggest liar I've ever met. And he said, you're right, I am a liar. And she said, you know, they call me Dan the Man. It was before I lost the braces and grew my boobs. Then I became Danielle. Then she wanted to fit in, and he said, I know the feeling. And she said, do you even ride the motorcycle? Actually, I do. It just takes a bush or a station wagon to take me down. And she said they bought it and they dropped all the old friends she ever had, you know. She was selfish and mean, but she just wanted so badly to fit in. So then she went to Dizzy and they kissed. And then you see a guy was videotaping them. And then Connor and Barkley had the rubber breasts on, and Eddie Griffin went like that. And the guy who was videotaping Dizzy getting his dick broken, because they showed that in front of it. They showed that to humiliate Dizzy at first, but then he was filming Dizzy kissing. And then he said, so, I saved his narrow behind and he got to kiss the girl. I hope that inspires you, David Hasselhoff. And he says, it has. It's taught me a lot. It was to show what poor Slavs would do to get a man. Like that, something like that is what he said. And then the movie ended, and then they show all the outtakes. See the tongue that Gene Simmons has and everything. Okay, there was one more thing I wanted to say about this. At one point they put Ed Lickett in a garbage can and rolled him down the hill. Then he stopped it, and then because he wanted to get donations for the marching band for the homeless, and he said any donations would be nice. And he said, hey, dude, you know what the homeless need? And he went, a midget. And Pete went, why would the homeless need a midget? And he said, shut up. And then he put Ed Lickett down and rolled in a trash can and rolled him down the hill. And then he said, whoa, Lil Ed, are you okay? That's what Dizzy said. And he said, yeah, I'm from a rodeo family. You remembered my name. Come here. And he went, hey, Connor, what did Ed ever do to you? And he went, and he just went like that. And then he went, all right, freak. And he said, we don't call people that here. But they said, what's Gil doing? He's taking up the tower. Ed Lickett's going to get his little ass kicked. And that's when Danielle broke up with Connor. He said, this is bullshit, Danielle. My girlfriend's supposed to back me up. And she said, you're right. Your girlfriend should back you up. Find one. And he went, I don't need you. I can have anyone. And one guy went, look, man, I'm really, really sorry. Me and the guy's pissing here too, but you did? Yeah. Thought it tasted funny. That was earlier. I wanted to add that part in, but and she became friends. Danielle became friends with that Emily girl again. Well, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. Watch it. It's hilarious. It's a great comedy. It's from 2002, so you could probably rent it or buy it. I bought this off of Amazon. Both copies. I love that movie. Alright, so stay up to date and subscribe. My Q&A video should be up. I might do an overrated video in the meantime. Thank you. Bye.